June 18, 2011. Belgrade, Serbia. 20,000 fans are packed into a fortress park to see the greatest British voice of her generation. She comes out 90 minutes late. She can barely stand. She mumbles through songs she's sung 1,000 times, forgets her own lyrics, and the crowd starts to boo. Her band plays on around her like nothing is wrong. The rest of the tour is cancelled the next morning. 5 weeks later, she's gone, 27 years old. 5 Grammys in a single night, 20 million albums. One of the most imitated voices on the planet. That's how the story ends. But it's not the story. The story is how a loud little jazz nerd from North London accidentally became the biggest star in the world, and why the world never figured out how to hold her. September 14, 1983. Southgate, North London. Amy Winehouse arrives in a Jewish family that treats jazz like a food group. Dad Mitch drives a taxi and croons Sinatra at every possible opportunity. Mum Janice is a pharmacist, patient, soft-spoken and thoroughly outnumbered, and Grandma Cynthia, absolute legend. A glamorous jazz singer who once dated Ronnie Scott. Yes, the Ronnie Scott, the man with the jazz club. Amy is loud, hilarious and allergic to rules. At 10, she and her best friend Juliet form a rap duo called Sweet and Sour, inspired by Salt and Pepper. Amy naturally is sour. It's Grandma Cynthia who sparks it. The kid doesn't just like singing, the kid is singing. She pushes Amy toward stage school, and at 13 Amy lands at the famous Sylvia Young Theatre School. It goes about how you'd expect. Chewing gum, a forbidden nose piercing, 0 homework. Depending on who you ask, she was either gently asked to leave or spectacularly expelled. Amy always preferred the second version. At 13, Amy picks up her brother's guitar. At 14, she's writing her own songs. And while every other kid in 1998 is worshipping the Spice Girls, Amy is deep, deep into Sarah Vaughan, Dinah Washington, Tony Bennett, and Ella Fitzgerald. She doesn't study these voices. She absorbs them. At 16, she's singing with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra, a teenager fronting a big band like she was born in the wrong decade and knows it. Then comes the least rock and roll discovery story ever. Her best mate, singer Tyler James, quietly passes her demo tape to his management. They hear 30 seconds and basically lose their minds. Here's this teenager from North London with a voice like smoke and honey that sounds 50 years old in a good way. They keep her almost secret while the paperwork happens, terrified someone else will find her first. At 19, Amy Winehouse signs with Island Records. She celebrates like a jazz legend in training. Completely unbothered, cigarette in hand, already thinking about the songs. October 2003. Amy releases her debut album, Frank, named partly for Sinatra and partly because that's exactly what it is, Frank. Brutally, hilariously honest. It's jazz but over hip-hop beats with lyrics about useless boyfriends that would make your nan faint. The critics adore it. Frank gets nominated for the Mercury Prize. Amy wins an Ivor Novello Award for songwriting at 20. The industry starts using the phrase, the future of British music. There's just one person not entirely impressed, Amy. She tells journalists on the record repeatedly that the label meddled, picked songs she didn't want, and that she doesn't even own a copy of her own album. Marketing departments develop a nervous twitch whenever she's near a microphone. Interviewers can't believe their luck. Because here's the thing about Amy, she cannot lie. Not in interviews, not in songs, it's her superpower and eventually her curse, and she's already restless. Polite jazz isn't the sound of her heart. Her heart sounds like a 1960s girl group crying in a stairwell. To find that sound, she needs new scenery. Enter Camden town. Markets, canals, leather jackets, pool halls and pubs with sticky floors and perfect jukeboxes. Amy doesn't move to Camden so much as merge with it. This is where the icon assembles piece by piece. The beehive borrowed from the Ronettes and grown to structurally questionable heights. The winged eyeliner, sharp enough to file paperwork with. The tattoos. The ballet flats. By the time she's done, she's the most recognizable silhouette in music. And in early 2005, in a Camden pub, she meets Blake Fielder Civil. It is instant, chemical, and completely all-consuming. They feed the jukebox. He introduces her to 60s girl groups like the Shangri-La's music about loving someone so much it wrecks you. Which turns out to be foreshadowing. Because Blake goes back to his ex-girlfriend, and Amy does not do heartbreak in moderation. She stops going out. She drinks. She sits with a guitar in a wreckage of ashtrays and notebooks. Then she does the only thing she's ever known how to do with pain. She turns it into music, all of it. Two producers help Amy turn heartbreak into history. In Miami, her old friend Salam Remy, and in New York, a young DJ named Mark Ronson. The legend goes like this. Amy and Ronson are walking down a New York street and she's telling him about the time her family and management staged an intervention. They tried to make her go to rehab. She told them, and these are her words, "No, no, no." Ronson stops walking. That's not a story. That's a hook. They record Rehab with the Dap Kings, a Brooklyn funk band so authentically retro they make 2006 sound like 1964. Horns, handclaps, heartbreak. It's a sound nobody's heard in 40 years, wrapped around lyrics like a diary you shouldn't be reading. October 27, 2006, Back to Black is released. 11 songs, 35 minutes, no filler. You know I'm no good. Tears dry on their own. Love is a losing game. The title track, 3.5 minutes of pure orchestral devastation. It goes to #1 in the UK and just stays. It breaks America, the Motown sound coming home in a beehive. Add Valerie with Ronson in 2007 and Amy Winehouse isn't the future of British music anymore. She's the present, all of it. 2007 is the year Amy Winehouse gets everything, and the year everything gets her. February, she wins the Brit Award for Best British Female. The tours sell out in minutes. She's the most photographed woman in Britain, and Blake is back. In May, they fly to Miami and get married, no big ceremony, just the two of them, giddy and inseparable. Amy is euphoric. She has the sound, the fame, and the boy, but together they are gasoline and a match. The partying escalates into serious drug use, hard drugs now. In August, Amy is hospitalized after a seizure. Shows get cancelled, and the paparazzi move in like weather. Dozens of photographers camp outside her Camden flat around the clock. Every stumble is a front page. Her worst nights become morning entertainment. Late-night hosts tell Amy Winehouse jokes to millions, and the audience laughs because from far away, a person falling apart can look like a punchline. In November, Blake is arrested, assault, and interfering with the trial that followed. He goes to prison. Amy goes on tour anyway because the machine around her never stops. Some nights the voice shows up and it's astonishing. Other nights she's booed off stage. Here's the uncomfortable truth about fame. Everyone around a star has a job that depends on the star not stopping. So nobody stopped her. February 10th, 2008. The Grammys. Amy can't get a US visa in time, so she performs live via satellite from a London studio in front of a small crowd of family and friends. She's nominated 6 times. She wins 5: Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best New Artist, Best Female Pop Vocal, Best Pop Vocal Album. When Tony Bennett, her actual hero, opens the envelope and says her name for Record of the Year, Amy's face does something the cameras will replay forever: total childlike disbelief. She grabs her mum. The room explodes. It ties the record for the most Grammys ever won by a female artist in one night. She's 24 years old and she is officially the biggest thing in music. And yet, her childhood friend later remembered what Amy whispered to her that night, that it was all a bit boring without drugs. Even at the summit, the thing had its hooks in her. That's the cruelty of addiction. It doesn't care what you just won. After 2008, Amy does something people rarely give her credit for. She quits hard drugs. By most accounts, completely. But addiction is a shapeshifter and alcohol moves into the space the drugs left behind. The next 3 years are a long tide going in and out. The divorce from Blake comes through in 2009. She escapes to the island of St. Lucia for months, sunshine, horses, half a recovery. Back in London, she buys a house in Camden Square, dotes on her goddaughter, singer Diane Bramfield, and talks about the future. There are stretches, weeks, sometimes longer, where she's dry, funny, sharp herself. Everyone exhales, then the tide comes back in. In March 2011, she walks into Abbey Road Studios to record a duet with Tony Bennett, Bardi and Soul. She's nervous, apologetic, starstruck. Bennett would later say she was one of the truest jazz singers he ever sang with. It's the last song she ever records. June 18th, Belgrade, the show we started with, the tour is cancelled. July 20th, she makes a surprise appearance at a London show, dancing on stage with Diane. She looks happy. It's the last time the public sees her. July 23rd, 2011. Amy is found at her home in Camden Square. After weeks of not drinking, she had relapsed, and her body, after everything, couldn't survive it. The inquest found alcohol poisoning, more than 5 times the legal driving limit. She was 27. Outside her house, the paparazzi finally had their quiet street. Fans covered it in flowers instead. Amy joined a club nobody wants to be in, the 27 Club. Hendrix, Joplin, Morrison, Cobain, and now Winehouse. In the weeks after her death, Back to Black became the best-selling album of the 21st century in Britain. It's been passed since by exactly one record. Adele's 21, Adele, who has said herself that Amy kicked the door open for her and for a whole generation of British voices. 20 million copies worldwide. 2 albums. That's all she made. 2 albums that permanently changed what pop music was allowed to sound like. Her family launched the Amy Winehouse Foundation on what would have been her 28th birthday. It's spent the years since helping young people struggling with addiction, the help that came too late for her. There's a statue of her in Camden, Beehive and all. An Oscar-winning documentary in 2015. A Hollywood biopic in 2024. And in every young singer with a big voice and an old soul, there's a little bit of Amy. This July marks 15 years since we lost her. She never wanted fame. She said early on that she'd probably go mad with it. She just wanted to sing, so maybe skip the sad songs today. Play Valerie, play it loud, that's how she'd want it. If you enjoyed this one, the Michael Jackson story is on screen now, and tell me in the comments whose story I should tell next.